Welcome to the Caregiving Podcast. I'm Inga.
And I'm Julie.
And long story short, we have Caregiving. We are two momtrepreneurs who have built an in-home care business from the ground up, guided every step of the way by God's care and fueled by agape love. Almost 14 years later, we felt called to create this podcast as a resource for families with caregiving needs. Whether you care for a family member or are looking for advice on professional caregiving, we want this to be a platform to support you.
Each week, we will come to you with encouraging stories of families who have found the right balance for their loved ones, tips for how to care for them and you, and much more. We hope you continue to join us each week as we share in this exciting new journey together.
Hello, Sunshines, and hello, Julie. How are you doing today?
I am well.
How are you?
Yes.
Are you looking outside at the snow that I can feel is coming down behind me?
It's lessening, so I'm getting a little
Is
bit.
it okay? It was pretty pretty snowy this morning.
Big old flakes. Holy
I know.
cow.
I was like, what, are we in winter again?
Yeah.
Oh wait, we never left being in winter. Anyway. So hey, have you ever donated blood?
I have.
How'd it go?
Well,
Not good.
Well, this is just because I have to admit it. Way back when, I actually gave blood because they would give you money for it. Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't freely give
There was something in it
there
for
was
you.
something in it for me. I only did it like once or twice because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But yes, I have given blood more times than that, not just for the money. So
Okay, well,
I'm
good to
not
know,
that
good to know.
bad of a
You brought me
terrible
back. You brought me
human
back.
being. But anyway, yes, I have given it before.
Wow, I have never been able to. I've never even tried because I'm weird, right? So I'm a little bit concerned about what it would, like if I had to give blood the other day for just some labs and one little tube and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can stand it. No, not really that bad, but it does make me a little nervous. Well, your Bailey had an interesting episode, didn't she?
Yeah, she actually, I can't remember the details, but boy, she got sick afterwards. And she actually went in and got seen.
Yes.
Because we weren't like, the thing is there a bubble in your blood or is there this or that? And that's just a weird anomaly.
Right.
Because 99.9% of the time, everything is smooth move. But
Right.
she won't give anymore because she associated not being well with what had just happened
Right.
with the blood. And so...
Kevin gives blood.
Uh-huh.
He gives, I don't know what it is. Sometime years ago, he got wrangled into it by, I think, a youth organization was doing a blood drive or
Right.
something. So he still gets his call. And funny as it is, I'm pretty sure it usually comes in around Halloween.
Oh, Dracula.
Little Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's a good dude. Hopefully you guys, listeners, you had a chance to listen to our last episode where you really got to meet Kevin.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. Anyway, well, there you go.
There you go.
So we're going to be talking about that today.
Mhm.
And you brought a verse to us. And
Yeah.
it is Matthew chapter 26, verse 28. And it says, "This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins."
Mm-hmm. Yep. The first Sunday of every month is when we do communion at our church.
Yes.
Some places they do it every Sunday. Everybody's got their thing, but basically, when it all boils to everything, the blood of Christ is what it's all about.
Yes.
He was born. He went through all of his stuff. He died on the cross for us, and through his blood, we are saved sinners.
Yes. And that we are.
Yeah. So I was like, blood donation, blood of Christ.
Hey,
Blood.
sounds like a perfect verse for the
so
day.
That's why I picked
Good
that
job,
verse.
Jules. What did you bring for an uplifting story?
Well, this is a situation where this gal was going to donate her blood, and I'll just quickly read it. So Susan's story is an example of why the mini physical step in the donation process is so important, and we're going to talk about all of that.
Sure.
But she said, I came in and gave blood like every 8 to 10 weeks. So
Oh, wow.
she was dedicated to
Yes.
it. It seems perfectly normal, and I felt perfectly normal. But the day after my last donation, the Red Cross called me and told me I should go to the doctor and have my blood tested. They told me that my white blood cell count was very high and that it needed to be evaluated. I went to my family doctor and then the oncologist and hematologist.
Oh, wow.
They drew blood and finally drew bone marrow. I was diagnosed with leukemia, and this had been very difficult. But if the Red Cross hadn't told me about my blood being abnormal, I would have not discovered this by myself. I had no symptoms, and it could have developed over a much longer period of time. I'll never know how much of a difference that would have made, but I'm very grateful to have found it quickly because of the Red Cross. I won't be able to give blood for a long time, if ever, but I have told this friend to all my students, colleagues, friends, and family members, and they all recognize how good it is that, giving blood.
Wow.
And actually, there was a phlebotomist at the hospital, and when I worked at the hospital, and same situation. He used to give blood all the time, and then all of a sudden we didn't see him for quite some time, and I wondered where he was at, because he was just this really nice guy that always said hi and had a story. Anyway, same thing, found that he had leukemia. Had no idea, except when they did that mini physical and they found abnormalities. The other thing is, now my brother, one time when he was young and still sowing his wild oats, he wanted to go do a stint down in Antarctica. And since they don't have a lot of medical there, they do this really intensive physical on you. They make sure you don't have your wisdom teeth are going to want to pop out at that time, or everything. And he found out that actually his blood was too rich, and it was like so thick. And so he had to give a lot of blood, and they did end up taking him.
Oh, wow.
But that was quite a process. and I don't know what it was. And it's years ago. I should have asked him more about the story, but I remember just like, it's just running thick through my veins.
Wow.
And they had to almost like dilute it or whatever they do to it.
Holy cow.
But thankfully, they were able to do what they needed to, and he was still able to go do his wild adventure.
Nice. Which brother?
Richard.
Oh, see, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. It makes me think of a family friend when I was really little. One of the kids, I think they had to go to the doctor for some type of a blood test, right? And the kid on the way was really, really just like nervous and having somewhat appeared to what we would now probably call anxiety over it. And it turns out he was really nervous that he was going to flunk his blood test. So, explaining how these things go is, information is power. Don't we always say that?
That's awesome. Yeah. And actually, now that you say that, there was a TikTok that went around where a little girl, she was donating blood for like her sibling.
Yes.
But she thought that meant she was going to pass.
Oh.
I'll have to find it so we can put it in the show notes. It was so touching because they were and she just sat there and she was doing it because she was saving her little brother or sister's life.
Oh, but she
thought that it was taking her life out to save his.
Oh my gosh.
It was so touching.
What a good sibling. I don't know a lot of siblings that would do that.
She was a little girl.
Oh,
yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. Hopefully you can find it and put it on there.
I will.
Okay. Well, my, what I am sharing, the positivity I am sharing today actually comes from my daily wisdom book. And I just flip it open. And this one really actually probably would have fit with the last podcast a little bit better, maybe, just because we were explaining kind of who we are. And I thought I just love it. It is titled Be Yourself. And this is Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Brad Stevens often shares that the number one piece of advice he offers to coaches is be yourself. People want to follow leaders who are authentic. No one wants to follow someone who seems fake or like they are putting on an act. We are drawn to leaders who embrace who they are and feel comfortable in their own skin. You were designed the way you are for a reason. There is only one you, and we need you. So be yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
It's the truth.
I love it.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coolio.
Yeah.
All right. And if being yourself involves donating blood, then, there's no harm in that.
There you go.
Okay, Jules. So blood donation.
Yeah. So the gift of blood helps save lives, and the demand for blood and blood products is great. Every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood, and more than 50,000 units of blood are needed each year. And this information I got was from Cedars-Sinai, and just there is the 50,000 that they need. So that's not like America or worldwide.
Sure.
So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some facts about blood and blood donation. And so there are 20 facts. We're going to just read them off.
Yes. If it sounds like we're reading off a list, we really are.
Because we are. Yeah. And then we'll go into, the types of donation and all of that. So we're going to just talk about the whole enchilada here.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, I'll start it. So basically, according to the Community Blood Center, 4.5 million Americans will need a blood transfusion each year. That's a lot.
Oh boy. And according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, there are more than 13.2 million blood donors in the U.S., and they donate 17.2 million blood transfused products each year.
Wow. They do say that only 37% of the U.S. population is actually able to donate blood, but of that, less than 10% do that annually. Yeah. It's interesting because I was thinking about our organ donation episode, right? And this is a way that you can donate ahead of time.
Right. Yeah.
Interesting, if you're able to.
Donated red blood cells can be stored for 42 days. Donated platelets can be stored for 5 days. And donated plasma can be stored for 1 year.
When you donate blood, your body replaces the lost fluids within hours. The red blood cells from the donation will be replaced within 4 weeks. And the iron that you lost from the donation will be restored in 8 weeks.
Wow.
So I'm wondering if that, I'm sure the gal that you were talking about that donated every 8 to 10 weeks. I'm sure you have to let your body replenish before you can go back for more.
Yep.
No matter how broke you are back in the days when they were paying for this.
They weren't going to let me do it every day. Yeah. Oh, that's funny. Okay. This Carl Landsteiner discovered different blood types because he looked at the differences between blood transfusion. The 4 types of blood he found were A, B, and O. Type AB was discovered a year later.
The most requested blood type by hospitals is type O. Isn't that the one that's more universal?
Universal, yeah. Red blood cells use hemoglobin, a protein, to carry oxygen through your body. Oxygen is necessary to help your body carry out its daily functions.
White blood cells heal wounds by fighting infection, and they also protect us from foreign bodies such as allergens as well as mutated cells, including cancers. So isn't that why when they look at it, if your white blood cells are elevated, it's saying something is wrong? Need to look into it further. Yeah.
95% of red blood cells are made in the bone marrow. All blood cells start out as a stem cell and evolve into red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets.
And there are 50 billion red blood cells in a single ounce of blood and 2.4 trillion red blood cells in a pint. Who counted those? I want to know.
That's a lot. I don't know. Nearly 7% of the human body weight is made of blood. Oh.
Holy cow.
So there you go. My weight, less 7%.
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah.
You're doing good, Jules.
I'm a rock star.
You are too. About 100,000 Americans have sickle cell disease, which is a red blood cell disease that's usually inherited and actually causes a shortage of red blood cells.
The severity of an accident will determine how much blood someone needs. Car accident and trauma victims might need 50 plus red blood cell transfusions. People who are severely burned need 20 platelet transfusions. Bone marrow and transplant patients need platelets and red blood cells from over 100 donors.
Holy cow.
Yeah, wow.
Did you know that someone in the U.S. needs blood every 2 seconds? Every 2 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, just since we've been talking, how many people?
A lot.
Isn't that something? The average American adult has 10 pints of blood in their body, and 1 pint is given during the donation.
Yeah. And if you were wondering, donating usually only takes about 10 to 15 minutes. So it's not going to, ruin your whole day. You have a few minutes to spare.
Oh my goodness. When my husband, he's this macho guy, but when they go to take blood from him, he is the biggest dang baby in the world. I mean, he'll have his yearly physical, and later that night, I'll see that he's still got the gauze and the cotton ball there, and I'm like, you could have taken that off hours ago. And he goes, no, I couldn't. I about fainted.
Isn't it funny, the reaction because your husband is very manly, very tough. I seem to recall at one point a motocross race, my husband may have driven him to the hospital with 2 broken bones in his leg. And it was no big deal.
When he sees blood, he's out.
Yeah. I think that could be a thing. Oh, so here it says you can donate blood as often as every 56 days.
56 days.
According to this document.
Right. Blood can't be made synthetically, and there's no substitute for it. And that's the big deal there. Yeah.
Strange. I did not know this. Actually, I did not know a lot of this, but 1 in 7 people entering the hospital will need blood. That's That's a huge number.
That's huge.
Huh. Wow.
That's a
okay.
lot. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into the types of donations.
Okay. So, you heard us talking about whole blood, platelets, all of that. We're going to kind of break those down now.
Yep.
The whole blood is the most common type of donation. Blood is one donation can be divided into two components, red blood cells and plasma. The average adult has the 10 pints of blood, but they usually take about only one. It has a very short shelf life of the red blood cells. Mm-hmm. They only last for 6 weeks, 42 days. Donating whole blood, like you said, only takes 10 to 15 minutes, which probably the process of getting hooked up and undone takes longer. And then they sit there and they let you drink like an orange juice or something, don't they? Because they want you to recoup and make sure you're feeling good.
Yeah.
And donate every 56 days. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So platelets are the small disc-shaped cells that aid your blood in clotting, right? So they are most generally donated to cancer patients or organ recipients and people that are undergoing like heart surgeries. Mm-hmm. Patients who need platelets often require multiple transfusions, and that's why as with everything, that's why it's so important that people are out there donating those things so that that it's available for the people having the procedures. And platelets don't last as long. They have that shorter shelf life of about 5 days. Those who have like A negative, B negative, AB, or AB negative blood types are strongly encouraged to donate platelets. And I'm sure this is just because there's a shortage of them, or they're not as abundant and not as universal. Right. So donors are connected to a machine that separates the platelets and some of the plasma from the blood, and then returns the red cells, most of the plasma back to the donor. That is just wild to me. I do not even understand modern medicine and who came up with this. Right. So literally they are taking it out of you, right? If I understand this correctly, it goes through a machine. They keep what they need. They put back what they don't need. Platelet donation is a little bit longer. It takes about 90 minutes. And it turns out you can actually donate platelets every 7 days and up to 24 times a year.
Oh, wow.
So it's just wild to me. It's wild.
And I have heard of people that were very, very scared to go and accept anybody else's blood.
Sure.
So some people that are actually having some kind of a surgery and they know it's coming up, they will bank their own.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think we talk about it a little bit later on
probably
different types of donation.
And then also I think there's at least one religion where they won't allow you.
Sure.
And that's brought up legal issues, of course.
Yes.
But anyway, it's
well, and I think the problem or the challenge, as with everything, is way back in the day, before testing was probably as good as it is now and always evolving, people that were getting blood transfusions could end up with other types of diseases. My brother had a friend who was hemophiliac and actually ended up with a disease through a blood transfusion. This was years and years ago, and he's since passed on. My nephew, Todd Morgan, is named after him.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Pretty special kid that we knew growing up, and that was a challenge with blood donation.
And hemophilia is that bleeding disease.
Yes, I believe it's where it doesn't clot. Right. So you can bleed.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons for our home care where we will not clip toenails.
Right.
Because if somebody's like an undiagnosed diabetic and they can't clot, then even just a nick on the toe is enough to be a big problem.
Yep.
So, okay, sorry, I digress. Okay, back to this. Plasma. Plasma is a light yellow liquid in your blood and makes up to 50% of the total blood volume. It contains proteins that help control bleeding and fight infections. It's used to treat various types of bleeding disorders. It's also given to patients who have suffered major traumatic injuries. Plasma can be frozen for up to a year. If you have type AB blood, you are a universal plasma donor. Ooh. People who have blood types AB, AB negative, A negative, B, or B negative are also ideal donors for platelets.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I may have misspoke earlier. So basically the blood type really impacts what you're getting from the blood, whether it's the red blood cells, the plasma, the platelets, right?
Yeah.
If I'm understanding this correctly.
So the whole blood is different than the plasma.
Yep.
In terms of who can donate what and what the body will accept.
Sure.
And not fight
wow.
as a foreign.
Again, who figures this stuff out?
I know, they're awesome. They are awesome. Okay, donors are connected to a machine that separates out plasma and returns red cells to the body. Plasma donation takes about 40 minutes, and you can do it every 28 days.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, double red cells. So the red blood cells are the most commonly transfused blood component. Donors are generally hooked up to a machine that collects the red cells and returns most of the plasma and the platelets to the body. Donations from type O donors are crucial to maintaining blood levels in the body. Double red cell donors with type O negative, B, or B negative types, as well as donors with Rh negative blood, are in short supply. You must meet higher hemoglobin and height to weight requirements to donate double red cells. Double red cell donations can take approximately 40 minutes, and you can donate double red blood cells once every 16 weeks. So that's even something different than just the normal whole blood.
Isn't that weird? Now, when I was pregnant, I had to get the shot.
Yes,
the RH negative.
Yes.
So I don't remember what my blood type is.
I don't either. And actually, I was just talking with Alyssa and Ty about this because I believe Montana is one of the states that, at least if you go on the internet, says that you have to have a blood test to get a marriage license because of that RH. What the RH is, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, but that's a whole nother podcast. Yeah. But we don't.
And as it turns out, it may not be a rule that is actually
true.
What's the word? What's the word when it's actually like they make you do it?
It's a rule.
Okay, just cut this out, Alyssa.
Anyway, yeah. So basically, I had to get an injection so that my body wouldn't think that the fetus was it's a foreign body, and my blood would try to attack it and reject it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Huh. So I should probably look into that.
You probably should. I always think I should find out what my blood type is. And I think over time I have, but then I, for whatever reason, don't commit it to memory and don't write it down.
I never locked it into the old memory bank.
That's me too.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
Someday I might need to actually know, but.
So back to donating for yourself. They call it an autologous donation. Donating blood for your own elective surgery requires that an order from your doctor be faxed to a blood donor service team. Your most recent donation must have been made at least 5 days before your scheduled procedure.
Interesting.
Yeah. But they'll take care of you if that's really important to you.
So I don't know if we talk about this later on, but I always just know about the Red Cross for donating blood. Are there other places that you can donate blood?
Oh, I'm sure, but Red Cross is the big.
It's just the big one that you always think about. And interesting.
Yeah.
So basically, if you donate for someone else, they call it a directed donation. So in this case, like friends or family members could donate blood for their loved ones. Direct donations should be scheduled no later than 7 business days before the patient's blood transfusion. And then again, basically, you're going to arrange the location, you're going to talk to the attending physician, talk to the blood donor services team, that type of thing. If you're doing that direct donation.
And when I worked in the ER, and I was just a ward clerk, so I wasn't a nurse or anything, but I know very many times we would have to, a trauma person, you'd have to start getting the blood going. And the steps they went through to make sure that they were doing it right was pretty cool. You know, everything had, the blood B or, but the bag of the blood.
How does it actually get infused? Is it just an IV?
Yeah, they just put it back. Yeah,
just like a blood bag, and then it just gets, okay.
Yeah, but the steps to validate that they have the correct product, it's just crucial.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because it's in big, bold
Well,
letters.
I think that it's really important on a Medicaid audit that we get the paperwork right. So I would think that getting the blood right would be super, super important.
Yeah. No, I was just always impressed because we had to read it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
Triple, quadruple check.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Right. So blood types. Here we go with that.
Apparently, it is important to know your blood type.
It's important to know your type. We should probably look into that. So what's funny about it is O positive. In the United States, 39% of everybody's O positive. And people with O blood can donate to all blood types, but they can only receive donations of O.
Interesting.
Yeah.
9% is O negative.
Okay. A plus. Oh, that would be you.
That's probably what I am. I mean,
30% U.S. prevalent. People with type A blood can donate to A and AB, and they can receive donations from A and O.
Wow.
So that's A minus is the 6%. So the A's are like 36%. B plus is 9%. B minus is 2%. People with type B blood can donate to blood types B and AB, and they can receive donations from B and O. They don't have an F, which would probably have been me.
Oh, kidding. AB plus and AB minus.
Yeah.
Or AB positive, AB negative. Is that how? Anyway,
Yes.
4% and 1%. People with type AB blood can donate to type AB only, but they can receive blood donations from any type.
Yeah.
What the heck? So bizarre.
And so much to remember.
Yes. Good thing there are doctors out there.
Yeah.
And people in the emergency room that double check.
Triple,
to make
quadruple
sure
check.
that it's
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And then the plasma, the compatibility is different from the blood type. Easy for me to say.
compatibility.
Compatibility is different from the blood type, and we don't need to go into that because I'm not going to remember it after I've read it anyway. I don't even remember my own blood type.
I know.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so why does your donation matter? Julie, tell me. Why does it matter?
Well, the thing that hits me the hardest when we're talking about this is that there's no substitute for blood, platelets, or plasma. And I find that crazy because we have...
synthetic everything.
We can use animal hearts for our heart. We
Yep.
can, but blood?
Yeah, blood is the one.
Isn't that something?
It's special.
It just cannot be manufactured. People in need of blood or blood products must rely on donations from people like you.
They don't want it. It's weak sauce.
Those who are hesitant about drawing blood for the first time often find that the donation process is easy and that saving lives is deeply gratifying.
Yes.
One day donation can save multiple lives. So here's the facts.
Okay. One donation can save up to 3 lives.
Wow.
The average red blood cell transfusion is 3 pints or 3 whole blood donations, right? So that would be the person receiving it needs 3 pints, right? More than 1 million people every year are diagnosed with cancer for the first time. Many of them will need blood, sometimes daily during chemotherapy.
Wow.
More than 38,000 blood donations are needed every single day. Type O negative whole blood can be transfused to people with any blood type, but this type of blood is rare and supplies of it are low. Type AB plasma can be transfused to patients with all of other blood types, but it is also in short supply. And while 38% of the American population is eligible to give blood, only about 2% actually donates, which that's actually, earlier we said that it was 10%, but if you look at that 2%, it's probably somewhere in the middle at this point in time.
So basically it's not good. We're really not doing a good job.
Yeah, we could do better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right.
I wonder if I did give blood, and I just think I would feel a little bit weak is probably what my issue would be.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would just take the day off.
Oh,
I would go home, not worry about anything.
put your feet up, eat some bonbons.
Yes, that sounds likely.
I really do think that after you have a blood draw, then you get to sit there with your feet up and relax for a few minutes.
Yeah.
They make sure you're steady before you go.
Right.
And you get a snack.
It's probably worth it. I'm probably more in my head about it than anything. And if I just went and did it, I'd be fine.
And honestly, they do those blood drives like
Right.
Kevin did, and
Yes.
they'll bring the whole bus and just park here.
Yeah.
So we could do it someday. But
Just bring our
you go
sleeping
first.
bags. Okay, perfect. We'll bring our sleeping bags. We'll just line up nap time for after the blood draw. Perfect. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. There's
Who's eligible? Who can donate?
Oh,
you
boy.
can. I can. I
Yes.
think anyway.
Yeah. So there are requirements. So they must be at least 16 years old. They must weigh at least 110 pounds.
Check.
And not currently be ill.
Check.
Yes.
Okay. Who's unable to donate blood?
Well, those that use needles to inject drugs, steroids, or anything else without the permission of a doctor, anybody with HIV, anybody that's been a little promiscuous shouldn't. There's a few diseases.
Okay.
And then there's those that have anemia. So anemia are the ones where people are already not
Like
feeling
iron
great.
deficient
Yeah,
stuff,
iron deficiency, uncontrolled diabetes, or uncontrolled hypertension, or are pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, here is what we need to know about donating.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
maybe this will alleviate our fears.
Yes.
Before donating, a person should have tried to get a good night's sleep,
Check.
eat something.
You know what? Before every other procedure in the world, you don't get to eat. So
Right.
we love this.
There we go.
Eat something.
I
Check.
love it. Drink fluids that do not contain
Oh,
alcohol or
that's where you lost
caffeine.
me. Not the alcohol, it's the caffeine.
Right. Prepare a list of medications they currently take and 2 forms of identification.
Okay. Does a Costco card work?
Yeah, I don't know that.
Probably not. How much blood can a person donate at once? So apparently, it's going to depend on your weight, your height, your platelet count, that type of thing. So my guess is you get a little bit of an evaluation when you get there, and they're going to determine case by case.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually they said, what, about a pint?
Yeah.
A pint?
About a pint.
Yeah. So whole blood takes about an hour. Platelets are 2.5 to 3 hours.
Right.
Plasma is 1 hour and 15 minutes. And then the power red, this type usually takes 1.5 hours.
I'm wondering if this one, because earlier on it said that it was like a shorter process, but I'm wondering if this one takes into account actually showing up, going through the paperwork, not just the process of the extraction of the blood and platelets.
The blood.
Anyway, okay. So how we talked about how soon a person can donate again, and that of course just depends on what it is that you've donated.
Right.
Potential side effects.
Oh, here you go. This is what you were worried about. Some potential side effects is bruising.
I can handle that.
Yeah, there might be some slight bruising where they insert the needle.
Yeah, I'm all right.
To prevent this, apply ice or cold compresses. Fainting.
Not a fan of that.
Yeah.
I have a story one time. So funny. I went to a doctor because I had a cyst on my wrist and it was just bothering me really, really bad. And so the plan was to aspirate it. Well, those cysts can get very honeycombed inside of them. So it's not as easy as just kind of putting a needle in and, you put it in, you pull it out, and that's the end of it, right? It takes a little bit. It was a little aggressive, I would say. But anyway, as the doctor's kind of prepping me, he's like, what, do you want to stand up? Do you want to sit down? Because I must have still been standing. And I said, oh, well, I don't know what's best for you. And he goes, well, it's best for me if you don't pass out. Serious. He was dead serious. Didn't crack a smile at all. And so then I was really nervous. I did get aspirated and I did not pass out, but I did sit down.
Where was it at?
On my wrist? Oh, yeah, right in here.
Yeah, see, I had one there.
Yeah.
And I was a wuss. I wouldn't go in.
Oh.
Because it eventually went away.
Oh.
But they also said the other thing you can do is just sit there and let somebody hit it with a book.
Yeah, the Bible.
Yes. So
don't they call them Bible cysts or something like that?
Ganglion cyst.
Ganglion cyst.
Yeah, but I was not going to get it aspirated.
Yeah.
I was going to have this icky thing hanging rather than any pain.
It actually created a lot of problems for me. So we tried the aspiration and that did not fix the problem. And so I actually ended up having a surgery to take it out. It was pretty,
Yeah, they did say as
really
long
bad.
as you can tolerate it, you don't have to get anything done with it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Anywho, but I didn't faint.
Oh.
But he was serious, and I think he thought I was going to, and I probably would have had I have tried to stand up for the procedure.
So for donating blood, it's a possibility.
I'm definitely going to have to sit down.
Yes. Oh, that's... Oh, yikes. 11 reasons why you can't donate blood. We're just going to really pop through those real quick. If you're on certain medications.
Some recent vaccinations, right?
And actually what's interesting is aspirin.
Oh,
if you're taking
then
aspirin,
I guess I'm out.
That will thin your blood.
Yep.
So that's interesting.
But I guess if it's aspirin, it's only 2 days without. But yeah, I'm sure everything that you put into your body has the chance of coming back out and going into somebody else's body.
Yep.
Recently vaccinated. And so basically a person who's been vaccinated with a vaccine that contains a live infectious agent such as measles, shingles, chickenpox needs to wait for at least 4 weeks after that vaccination.
Someone who has had a recent tattoo or any needle treatments.
Any testing positive for hepatitis or HIV, of course. We don't want to pass those on.
Being underweight.
Someone with too high or too low of iron levels.
Yeah. So at that one point, Richard wouldn't have been able to give.
Yeah.
Because he was too high.
He was proficient.
Yes. Plus.
Of course, suffering from cancer.
Pregnant female.
Syphilis.
Oh,
They're not going to let you donate blood if you have that.
Kind of makes sense.
Yep.
Blood clotting disorder.
Yep.
And
then relationships with drug use, basically.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure it's just all a protection thing.
Right.
So I want to make sure that the blood is clean that gets donated.
Yes. And to wrap this up, we're just going to talk about the motivation on giving it. And some of this may be redundant, but let's get jazzed to give some blood.
I know.
Has it worked for you?
It has. Yeah. Am I going to do it? Not positive. Am I going to think about doing it? Positive.
First step.
Okay.
There you go.
The best First reason, helping others, right? Giving blood is one of the most selfless things that you can do. Your donated blood can potentially save up to 3 lives. That's a pretty big deal.
Oh, that's huge.
Yep.
You're among a select minority. Less than 38% of the population is eligible to give the blood or platelets. If you're one, consider yourself among the chosen few.
Heck yeah. You get a free health checkup, right?
Yep.
So just as we've talked about a few people, you go in there, you give blood, and they're going to check your blood pressure, your pulse, your temperature, your hemoglobin levels, and then they're going to check through your blood, I'm sure, to make sure that there's no HIV, no hepatitis, other diseases. So you're going to get a mini checkup just for doing something
Just
good.
like that, Susan, that story I read.
Yep.
She found out that she actually had a situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burning calories. It burns calories.
Wow.
You can't replace your regular sweet sesh with a blood donation, but you can burn up about 650 calories.
Holy cow. That's
Take it all.
that's a lot of hoop fitting, I think. Cool thing, your body's going to make new blood. So
Right.
think of it like a tune-up for your body. When you donate blood, you're generating new blood. Takes about 24 hours to replace that plasma and 4 to 6 weeks to replace the red blood cells from your donation.
I do like this one. It may improve your heart health.
Nice.
Donating blood temporarily lowers the iron in your blood. Elevated levels of iron may increase the risk of heart disease in men. One study showed that men who donate blood at least once a year have an 88% lower risk of heart attacks than men who are not donors.
Interesting.
Wow.
It promotes well-being, and that is yours, right? Giving blood can make you feel good about yourself, reduce stress, and improve your emotional health.
It only takes an hour. The process of donating blood is simple and quick. You'll likely be there about an hour, although the actual donation will take around the 10 minutes like we've talked about.
Yeah. Cool. I think there might have been...
Oh, here it is. It doesn't really hurt. That's something we didn't talk about.
That's what I was looking for. Yes, the rest of it.
You may feel a slight prick when the needle is inserted into your arm, but the process is relatively painless. And when you consider the benefits it provides, the minor discomfort is well worth it.
Yeah. Well, and not that we should be making decisions based on what it gives back to us, but also just considering that you may one day need a blood donation yourself. It's estimated that about 25% of people will need blood at least once in their lives. And although there's no direct correlation between giving blood and receiving it, you may be as grateful one day as someone else is currently for a donation.
And I think that's when a lot of people do step up and do more.
Yeah.
After they've had something
Yep.
impact them with
Sure.
a loved one or themselves.
Yep.
And they're like,
I think you stop and think about it at that point, because
Right.
how many people are just walking about in their normal day thinking about blood donation?
nobody.
Yeah. Right.
Nobody.
Hopefully they listen to the podcast and think about it. Anyway, okay. I'm so excited for the Grandma Sayings because Grandma Jean has made a submission.
Okay.
And I do have to say that before she submitted it, she did read it to me. I'm not going to do justice to it because I love the sound of her voice and I love her storytelling ability. So it's not going to be quite the same, but hopefully.
Cute.
So she says, howdy, howdy, ladies. I have a couple sayings from my longtime friend, also a grandmother, Norma. In our younger days, we worked together. We hiked, cross-country skied, kayaked, depending on the season, of course. Now, due to age and physical limitations and other ailments, our together activities are short walks, car rides, playing games, and watching videos. When we're about to embark on something fun, Norma always exclaims, just for grins and giggles, because we're worth it.
Oh, cute.
Isn't that fun?
Oh.
I love Norma. Another of her favorites is a comment that follows anything that doesn't maybe go quite right. You take what you get and you don't throw a fit. Meow. This statement is followed by her very good imitation of a highly pitched cat growl. It's embarrassing. I know what I did not sound like that, but Grandma Jean did a good job.
Oh, cute.
I'll conclude. This one is so funny. I'll conclude with a grandma saying from Inga's side of the family. After a dinner of chicken and Brussels sprouts and 2 hours of sitting watching videos, giving this dinner time to work through the digestive system, Graham jet propelled herself out of the chair to grab her rollerator walker. It began as she stood with a squealing sound similar to air being slowly let out of a balloon. This continued as she wheeled her way towards the door and out into the hallway, the volume increasing with each step. The duration of this flatulence was epic. Over her shoulder, this witness heard the following. Well, you know what they say, the fartin' horse never tires and the fartin' man's the one to hire. Then she faded into the darkness of the hallway, leaving me gasping for air because I was laughing so hard. Why else? Thanks, Grandma Jean.
Oh, my lordy. That was awesome.
Fartin' horse never tire. The fartin' man's the one to hire.
There you go.
All right. Well, if you haven't made a submission to us yet, please do so. You can email those to the caregivenpodcast@gmail.com and go sign up and subscribe. You can listen anywhere you get your podcasts. And anything else, Jules?
I think we should quickly add that we do have some very hilarious reels going right now where we are actually in competition with each other, trying to see who we make the other person laugh.
Yes.
And it's hard not to, just looking at Inga, for goodness sakes. Anyway, those are on the Caregiving Podcast and also the Apaga pages. So anyway, join us for those.
It's kind of funny. All right. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Have a good day.